I imagine already that you've listened to quite a lot of explanations, and you will go on listening to them in the next day or so. So I thought instead of explaining anything at all, I'd tell a little story about a carpet. And the story is that Claire and I lived together some time ago in a cottage in Wiltshire, and I was standing in the sitting room there, looking out at the view, and then I looked down at the carpet, and as I looked down at the carpet, suddenly everything went. I went. There wasn't anything. It was as though nothing was happening, and the carpet was simply the personification of what is. It was just what is. There was no one. It was just carpeting. And so that happened, and it wasn't a glimpse. It seemed to pervade this, and thereafter, that's how it was, as though all there was just everything happening. Everything was just happening as it is, without anyone in it. So later on, I had a thought. I thought about all of this, and I sort of went back over my past, which now seemed to have been lost. The path seemed to have not been there anymore. But I thought about my past, and I thought about as I was a little child, and then contraction seemed to arise, self-awareness arose, and then I felt like I was an individual, a real individual, and that everything that was happening was also real. And I grew up in that world, that dualistic world. And then I also realized that I was experiencing things like the sky as real, the trees as real, other people as real, the world as real, thoughts as real, feelings as real feelings. And all of these things seemed to be happening to me. I was experiencing them. And in some way or other, in experiencing them in this way, I seemed to take ownership of them. They became mine. It became my sky. In a way, it was my sky because I saw it in that way. And the trees and people, relationships and all of that seemed to be something that was happening to me. And that, as I grew up, of course, I became wealthier and wealthier with all with all these experiences, and I took them on myself. They were there, carried in my body, as they are with anybody, when it's a sense of them being real and happening to me. And so that all went on for many years, actually, in that dualistic way. All of that was going on, and then later on, I became somehow not happy with the way things were, in that I felt that I was separate to everything that I was experiencing. So I then decided I needed to do something about that. And what I tried to do was to become, in simple terms, to become liberated, so-called liberated. But of course, because everything else was happening to me and seemed to be mine, I then also saw that liberation was another object which I could experience, like the sky and the trees and all of that. And somehow I would be able to take in liberation as again something for me. All of that was going on, and I was going to various teachers and so on, and doing various things, Gurdjieff, Uspensky, all that lot, Nisargadatta, Osho, and I was sort of involved in all of that in some way hoping that the liberation would happen to me and it would be my liberation. But then when I was looking at all this, I realized that this whole event with the carpet, how significant it was, that somehow I'd come all those years with that great collection of experiences, and I looked at that carpet, and suddenly that carpet simply sucked everything out of me. It was as though that's how I felt it was. And everything that I thought I was and everything I thought I owned simply evaporated into the carpet. That's how it seemed to me at the time. And there was nothing left of the individual who'd had all those experiences, nothing left of the idea that I was real and that the world was real. All of that simply fell away, and all that was left was nothing being everything. And since that time, I've tried to communicate this to people, and so here we are again tonight, communicating to people. So if there's a question, let's answer it.
Thank you, Tony. Wow. Thank you. Tony, this is from an anonymous question. Why is the me motivated to attend in and to listen to the Nothing Conference? Could it be that the me might anticipate a benefit from non-duality in order to improve its life? Although the open secret message communication very clearly that it is an empty shop and no spiritual lollipops are given to me.
So the me, directly the me takes form, the self takes form, it is needy. So it's continually seeking something that will fill its need, as I did when I was Tony Parsons. And that need is manyfold. There's many different things that people, if you see your friends or see the world we live in, you see people trying to grasp everything they can to themselves because they're so needy, having seemingly lost oneness. Their need is very great, and so they're constantly drawing things into themselves. And then when they hear that there's a possibility that they might be able to find something even deeper, and also may be able to resolve the problem of feeling separate, then they're attracted to that, as I was. But the great problem is in dualism, is that the individual seeker objectifies everything. So the individual seeker would objectify liberation or the end of separation and try to take it on for itself so that liberation would happen to it. And that's the problem. That's what makes the whole of seeking completely futile, because what is longed for is completely beyond anything to do with the individual. It's about the end of individuality. Liberation is about the end of separation, and all that's left is what is happening. There's no one in that. There's no one that knows what's happening. There's no one that experiences what's happening or senses what's happening. There's no one left. All there is what seems to be
happening. Bam. Andreas, hi, Tony. Lately, I often hear the new fashion word, no thing. I can understand that if I understand no thing intellectually, that there is no thing. But the whole thing is, as you describe it, something energetic. And if I can't do anything, why do we all come together here on the theoretical level and discuss no thing? Thank you.
Well, why do we? Because the no thing can't be discussed. It is literally no thing. So if it's no thing, there's nothing to talk about. It's, in another way, you could say it's no possibility. No thing is no possibility. But the strange quality of all of this, or the reality that we live in, is that no thing is also everything. So this is when it becomes very confusing for the seeker. But no thing is everything, and everything that manifests, everything you're looking at the moment, is no thing manifesting as that. And so there's a fascination, obviously, when people hear about no thing, thinking it's some sort of wonderful answer to everything. In a way, it is everything, but it's not an answer, because there aren't any answers. All there is no thing as everything.
Thank you. George goes, where do I get a piece of that carpet?
I've got some downstairs. I can post one to you, but they cost a lot of money.
If you go to our website, we sell them for $2,000. This is an anonymous question. After having been a seeker for many years, trying to become enlightened and lose my ego, when we now learn about the open secret and nothing, does the me evaporate and only non-duality is left, or do we just change concepts and words?
Oh God, no. This is not anything to do with concepts or words. It's also nothing to do with you, how you are or how you aren't. It's got nothing to do with any condition. It needs no condition because it already is everything. And that again is a paradox in a sense. But everything you sit in, everything that's happening is the beloved already. And you are in it. But because you think it is a something, then you're somehow separate from it, which is unsatisfying. But the longing for it is a longing for no thing and everything, and that it can't be experienced because it's beyond experience. It's beyond individuality. It is already what is, and it's simply the vanishing or the ending of the sense of being a separate individual that can seem to arise, but when it does arise, all it actually is the ending of an illusion anyway. So it's as though when that illusion ends, as it did with me when I was looking at the carpet, it's as though nothing happens at all. There isn't anything that happens because all that is the end of an illusion that was never real anyway. So there is nothing that happens, but what you could say is that what seems to happen is the end of something in the individual that wants something to happen.
Here's another comment about the carpet. I pay lots of money for the 2x2 swatch of that carpet. This one is from John. Hello, Tony. I was raised to believe that I am real and everything that happens is real. When I hear the open secret message, something happens inside. Something seems to break down. It feels devastating. I have heard you say that the message is not so much about the words, but about an energetic happening. Is devastation an energetic happening?
No, for me, it feels as though devastation is more an emotional experience. The vanishing of me is not something that's experienced. It's nothing to do with the individual at all. And it feels to me as though a feeling of devastation is like a frustration. The sudden ending of anything that's real is something that simply happens energetically. For me, it was very clear that day that there was nothing to do with any sort of explanations about life or about the nature of the being or about seeking or about dropping anything. The whole thing was something that was energetic. And so you can listen to all these explanations and you can watch YouTube and understand all the concepts. But even if there is a deep understanding of what we're talking about with non-duality, in the end, that is all that me has. It is still a me that has now a deep understanding of so-called non-duality. The actual sudden evaporation of the illusion of individuality is something that happens energetically, and there's nothing that can be done about it.
Bam.
It is like it is that some people have experiences in their separate lives of not being a person. In deep sleep, of course. In deep sleep, there is no one. And in events in the day, there can be very extreme events or beautiful music or something where the whole sense of the me seems not to be there, but it wouldn't be noticed. It is just that isn't there anymore. So, and the other thing that is very much like in nature, what we're talking about here is falling in love. Falling in love, really falling in love, is as though there is a blessed someone there, and you could write a list of things that you like about that person, and that would be an explanation of what you like about them. But there's something else. There's something else intangible about that love, which is very much like oneness.